Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
I'm Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Tom.
It's time!
Live from the CSB studios in Westbury, New York.
It's the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Featuring co-host Kevin Dolan and the host that's been here since day one, Jerry Napoleonello.
On Zeno Radio and
on All Noise Radio.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show live on Zeno Radio, All Noise Radio, and the Live 365 app. I'm Jerry Knapp. He's Kevin Donlin. Thanks for deciding to spend your afternoon with us. We got a lot to talk about today. We have NFL Week 9 recap, previewing Week 10. The number to call, 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. A lot to get to. Suspensions, dirty tackles, pictures being leaked. But first, let's start off with the Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary.
That's right. Monday Night Football last night. Bears at the Chargers after a first quarter pick six for Jay Cutler. He actually put together a great game, and after being down 19-14 in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, Jay Cutler threw an absolute strike to Zach Miller, who made an amazing one-handed catch to give them the lead and eventually the win after a successful two-point conversion.
2nd and 10, climbs the pocket. Cutler, what a grab for the touchdown by Zach Miller. One hand, snatched it out of the air. Chicago leads.
Sunday Night Football, Eagles flew to Dallas to face the division rival Cowboys and headed into this game for the sixth straight time without Tony Romo and 5 straight losses in the process. The game was back and forth and eventually headed into overtime after the Eagles won the coin toss. The Eagles drove right down the field that ended with a touchdown pass across the middle of the field to Jordan Matthews for a 33-27 win, and the Cowboys' 6th straight loss.
And Bradford fires, and that's caught on the run. And inside the 10 into the end zone goes Matthews for a touchdown to win the game.
Sad news, former Braves and Angels pitcher Tommy Hanson passes away at the age of 29 after a catastrophic organ failure. And I'm Kevin Donlin with your Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary brought to you by Overtime. The game never ends.
Yeah, it was an interesting Week 9. I thought we had a really good Week 9. With the games really. I think we had 3 or 4 overtime games.
Yep.
All great games, all close games. We'll get into a couple of things. Basically our take for Week 9. But first, we'll get into the Aqib Talib suspension. Suspended 1 game for eye poking. He came out saying that he didn't do it on purpose.
Well,
but
he's an absolute liar.
The video doesn't lie.
Well, I watched it. I mean, it was pretty obvious. And it was a stupid penalty at the time because it really cost Denver the game officially. Yeah. I mean, Denver, you got to remember you have Peyton Manning on the other side of the field over there. And, this team was in the red zone, obviously, goal line, actually, to be more specific. But, this is a third down play. And, it's third down and goal. Your defense is the defense it's been all year and was very close to making a stop. And you basically, with that, unnecessary roughness penalty, gave them the automatic first down and eventually locked up a 3-point win. And they were kicking a field goal at the time. I mean, it's a stupid penalty.
It really was stupid.
Probably one of the dumbest penalties you'll see all season long.
Yeah.
Kind of status. I mean, and the fact that it was so deliberate. And then you're going to go out after the game and say that it wasn't. You're just digging yourself a bigger hole there, Akeem. This is probably one of the worst plays you'll see all year. Denver, obviously, this is a game that everyone thought Denver was going to win. The Colts, not to take any credit away from them, they played a great game. That's a tough Denver defense, and Andrew Luck, and especially with the struggles he's had all season long, played a great game and probably the best game of the season. And it was probably when his team needed it most. I mean, this division's actually becoming tighter, despite the fact that you have such crappy teams in your division. Yeah. I mean, between the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, this is a terrible division. And the Colts are tied going into this week for the division lead with the Houston Texans that have been god-awful.
They really have been awful.
I can't even name their quarterback. It changes every other week.
Another incident that happened in that game, I don't think anybody really saw it. I forget where I saw it. I think I might have seen it on the Overtime app. But supposedly Von Miller, and I saw the video actually, Von Miller was into some kind of scuffle on the ground after a play. He was on top of an offensive lineman. I couldn't tell you who it was. and he basically like threw his knee down on the guy's throat. And I mean, you haven't really heard anything about it. I mean, I don't know how nobody's seen this or not, but it was another incident that
Von Miller eventually left that game, though. Didn't he get hurt?
DeMarcus Ware did.
Oh, Ware did. I'm sorry.
And
the wrong pass rusher. Sorry, they have two incredible pass rushers, and I picked the wrong one.
Yeah, he's going to be out for a month.
Who, to Ware, huh?
Yeah,
wow.
DeMarcus Ware.
That's a big loss for the Denver Broncos. Yeah. But going back into the Von Miller incident, this is just, a case of, again, this defense, being so good all year long. Part of being a good defense in the NFL is, just having self-control.
Yeah.
And, not being able to make stupid penalties. I mean, did he get penalized for it? Probably not.
I don't think so. It was like a quick video I saw, but, it all just ties into, dirty plays, and it's going to basically put us into the next thing that we wanted to talk about. Teddy Bridgewater getting knocked out in that game against the Rams. I think it was in the third quarter, maybe.
You can't be any more clear with a slide. I mean, I just watched this play just recently. I did not see it on Sunday. I did hear about him being out for the game, but I didn't see the actual play. I actually just saw it a little while ago. It's a clear-cut slide. Bridgewater obviously giving himself up, not taking the extra yards.
Yeah.
And this is just a dirty elbow hit, man. You feel bad. He was really knocked out, and
yeah, he was.
He'll be on a concussion protocol for a while now.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all know how the concussion protocol is in the NFL. It's a very tricky one, like in all sports, and it's supposed to be. That's the way it's supposed to be. I mean, obviously you're trying to protect these players, and head injuries are probably the biggest alarming ones.
Well, with this whole thing, obviously you'll hear a lot of stuff about it after the fact. I mean, even during the handshakes at the end of the game, Mike Zimmer kind of just walked right past Jeff Fisher. And another person that had strong words for Jeff Fisher was Rodney Harrison during Football Night in America, right before Sunday Night Football. He had some choice words for Jeff Fisher, and we have this sound clip right now.
Coach, I wasn't surprised because it happened to me in 2006 where Bobby Wade, wide receiver, came and chopped my knees, tore my knee up. I'm laying on the ground. I look at Jeff Fisher. He's smiling and laughing. So this is typical of Jeff Fisher type teams.
So right there, I mean, those are strong accusations against Jeff Fisher, and Jeff Fisher came back at him,
laughing, huh?
And you know what? I mean,
how sure of that can you really possibly be, Rodney?
Exactly.
I mean, come on. I mean, this is you just got hurt. I think your focus is on you right now or your team. I mean, I think the last person you were probably looking at right then and there was Jeff Fisher. Yeah, you might have been looking at him after he was getting, maybe he was getting taken off the field a little while later, and maybe you gave him a little glance, and maybe he's laughing about something completely.
Yeah, exactly.
Has nothing to do with the injury. No offense, but you're probably on the field for a good solid 10 minutes. That's how it works with the injuries in the NFL. I mean, someone might have said something to him along the lines and made him, giggle. I have no idea. This is just very, very random. And
exactly.
Very strange words and harsh words, like you said.
Rodney Harrison, this isn't the first time that he's done something like this. He's known for using his mouth.
Well, he needs to stop doing that, or he's not going to be able to use his mouth for his job anymore.
But Jeff Fisher came back at him in a press conference, I think yesterday, I believe it was, and it kind of made me laugh because he did his homework. I can tell you that.
Well, it doesn't even make a difference.
But again, I think you have to consider the source. I saw it last night on the airplane, and you're talking about a guy that had a great career. I mean, the guy played a long time, and he was hard to defend. He was a really active defensive player. But this is coming from a guy that had 18 unnecessary roughness penalties, 7 personal fouls, 4 roughing the passer penalties, a total of 77 penalties in his career, and was voted 3 times the dirtiest player in the National Football League, and was suspended for a helmet-to-helmet hit on Jerry Rice in 2002. Okay, this is where these comments are coming from. All right, and I'll just say this: since 2000, it's been a privilege and honor for me to be on the competition committee. And our main focus, as you guys have followed this league for a long time know, our main focus is player safety. So for Rodney to come out and say that I did something like that is absolutely absurd.
Absolutely absurd. I mean,
I think it's absurd that you looked up every single detail of his career. I mean, no offense, seven personal fouls in an entire career, really. Is that really too mind-boggling? I mean, you play a lot of games in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he was just...
Especially for all those Super Bowl runs as well. I mean, a lot of extra games. I mean, going to the home, he just looked really... I mean, I don't know who looks smarter in this situation. I mean, I feel bad for Jeff Fisher that he has to come out and waste his time in a press conference to talk about a matter like this when it's, really irrelevant to the game.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a hit. I mean, it happens.
I thought it was funny.
This is the NFL. Yeah. It happens. Hits happen.
Yeah.
And guys get hurt. Obviously, like Jeff Fisher said, I mean, the biggest priority for them is, to go out there and make sure the player's safety. Obviously, I've been talking about it since day one. I think getting rid of those helmets is the number one thing they need to do if they want to really try to, limit safety. I mean, it needs to be these guys are using them as weapons, man. And obviously,
what are you going to do?
But I mean, you think about it. You think a helmet really helped out Bridgewater there with an elbow.
What? The elbow wasn't really the reason why he was knocked out. You can see the elbow hit his head that bounced his head off the turf. So,
but what is the helmet really doing then?
Literally. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, you're right, but at the same time, I think there's really if someone wants to get rich out there, I think it's the number one priority to go out there and find a new situation for the NFL players because these helmets obviously aren't working.
What about like a memory, pad kind of thing? Like, what if they put those kind of pads in the helmet? Like, they got pillows for it, mattresses. Like, what if they did something like that kind of just absorbed the shock?
I don't know. This is a very violent game at the same time, so I mean, it's very hard to go out and you're not criticize. But
there's going to be injuries. That's just a part of the game. There's no other way of putting it. You're going to have injuries, and you know what? It's a very violent sport. You're going to see head injuries. It's like I said, it's just a part of the game.
Absolutely. But I think when it comes to off the field, I think these two talking about it back and forth about
I thought it was just funny that Jeff Fisher did his homework on that and kind of came back because I've never I've had.
I think both of themselves
Rodney
just made
Harrison
themselves look
really,
stupid.
Yeah, Rodney Harrison really. I don't know. He just rubs me the wrong way, and I just with a lot of the things that he says.
You're telling me I'm a Jet fan.
Yeah, well, I know, but it just. Him, being on that type of a show during the biggest part of Sunday football.
It's nationally televised.
That's what I'm saying. And him to run his mouth, something like that, is a disgrace.
It's just unnecessary.
It's just another thing to add to the NFL that, even, I guess NBC is the one that really hired him to do this. But
they're going to see the backlash on Twitter and all these kind of situations. They're going to trust me. They'll know what they did.
Definitely. We're going to get into, Greg Hardy. When we get back, a lot of stuff that came out before this week's game. Recap of Week 9, our take on upcoming Week 10 coming up next.
Do you have sports opinions? Or do you want to start your own sports debate? Then Overtime is right for you. Overtime is an app for sports lovers made by sports lovers. This is the best place to talk about sports. Overtime is available to the iTunes App Store. Be a part of something big and help us take the game to OT. Overtime. The game never ends. Follow the NFL this season on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Tuesday on Zeno Radio and re-airs Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live.
All my life, you stood by me when no one else was ever behind me. All these lights, they can't blind me. With your love, nobody can drag me down. All my life, you stood by me when no one else was ever behind me.
We are back, and like he said, we're going to get into this Greg Hardy case. Greg Hardy, I mean, you probably heard it everywhere else. Apparently, I have other words. You know, there's a lot of names I can call him right now, but he's a piece of garbage. Basically, from the whole perspective, obviously, I mean, like like we talked about off the air. You read about the situation that happened with Greg Hardy, and it sounded really bad. You know, when you read it, it didn't look. You know, and obviously, when you saw the pictures that just came out, it didn't make it change the situation at all. This is the whole Ray Rice thing all over again, where people now are getting second guessing because they see the images and all this kind of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Like, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed about this case. Now the pictures come out. Now people want to go after him now.
Well, I don't think.
What was the difference?
Well, there is no difference. I didn't think this guy deserved to be in the NFL before the pictures came out. I still don't think he deserves to be in the NFL right now.
Like I just told you off the air, the documents that they put in writing was worse than the pictures. It was worse than the pictures. This guy tried to put her head in a toilet. He dragged her by her hair across the bathroom floor. He threw her onto a futon on top of semi-automatic guns. Okay? How is the pictures worse than what he just what they had in documents?
There's nothing worse. But the point is, how is Ray Rice not having a job right now? But this guy is sitting here on 3rd down and 10 for the Dallas Cowboys.
You want me to tell you?
Jerry Jones.
No. How tough is it to come across a very, 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 very good defensive lineman, and how much of a difference is it to come across a running back?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a Jets fan, and defensive linemen are coming at ease with, we
in the draft.
Yeah, because we make good draft picks.
In the drafts. Yes. All right? Greg Hardy's a great player. There's no way around it. Cowboys needed a defensive lineman. It's football.
Ray Rice was a great player, too.
He was.
He really was. You look at the way the Ravens are running the ball this year, it's not the same as how they were running it with Ray Rice. I mean, Justin Forsett had a great end of the year last year, but this year's been a completely different story.
But look at the running backs now. Look at all the injuries. Le'Veon Bell. Oh, D'Angelo Williams is there.
These teams are needed.
Deion Lewis. You got LeGarrette Blount there. You got it's just their running back is very much easily.
I can name a good amount of defensive linemen in the NFL, though, too. You got to make the right draft picks. You got to make the right moves.
That's out there, though?
Oh, what do you mean out there?
That's out there on the free agent list.
Well, who was out there on that list you just said? Le'Veon Bell. None of these guys were out there.
No, I know. But I'm just saying there's more like good enough running backs that are out there that you can get and backups and stuff like that. Compared to a defensive lineman, it's totally different. When you have a great defensive lineman in Greg Hardy, it just comes down to football. It comes down to football. You know what? He did his punishment. And for people that said, "Oh, you know what? He only got a 4-game suspension," is wrong because
it's not
you don't know what you're talking about. If you're talking about
this guy is not supposed to be a role model. We've talked about role models and how players are. Professional players should not be role models. This guy does not. It's just like Ray Rice shouldn't be a role model anymore. He shouldn't be a professional athlete.
No, I know.
Even people can argue the whole Adrian Peterson situation, but it's the same thing with Adrian Peterson. This guy's a rare talent. Greg Hardy, rare talent. So it's understandable. Speaking of rare talent, New York Jets. No, we go into
but I mean, it's just like I said, it's just defensive lineman is hard to come by, and running back is kind of easy to come by. And we're gonna move on to the actual games because that's all we care about. I don't really care about anything off the field.
Well, we talked about this even before the season started. A lot of articles about different players coming into the all the details and everything. But before we get into these games, we're gonna take a call. How you doing? You're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Hey, this is Joe, Valley Stream, first time, long time.
Hey, what's up, bud?
wanted to shift the attention and maybe some Giants talks, if you guys were willing to do so.
100%.
Wanted to know if do they have the personnel on defense to plug the holes where they are, and does Coughlin, does he have this team?
I think, I don't think the trouble is with Tom Coughlin. I think it really is just a personnel issue for the New York Giants.
Their defense is terrible.
Well, it's because of the personnel issues. I mean, you got to remember the Jason Pierre-Paul situation. Obviously, a lot of these defensive linemen, like Tuck, guys got older and guys went on and, moved on. And then the Giants went out. Well, the Giants went out and got a rare talent in Odell Beckham Jr. On the offensive side of the ball, which was really needed. But on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of these holes continued to, not be plugged in yet.
Their best player on defense is Landon Collins.
Yeah, and he's actually having a very, very good couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks, he's been unbelievable.
But they've had their injuries on defense. They're better players on defense. Really.
Giants win the division this year. It is a absolute impressive performance by Tom Coughlin, and Coughlin's the only one to credit for it.
You know what? I don't really.
And Eli.
I'm not going to really give any props to whoever wins this division because it's all terrible. It's all terrible.
Hey, but in order, to find a way to
be in it, to be in it to win a Super Bowl, that's.
You got a tough matchup this week, though. New England Patriots. What do you think about that, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I think over the years the Giants have showed us how well they do play the Patriots, but that's the Giants' story.
It just seems
like weaker opponents, and they step up when they play.
The Giants have played up to their competition all year.
I think that's been the story during the whole Tom Coughlin era. And before I hang up, hopefully that keeps up this Sunday. Thanks for taking the call, guys.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Thanks for taking thanks for calling in. Basically, when it comes to it, like he talked about, the Giants, they play into their. They play into their competition.
Yeah,
I mean, for all we know, they could step up to the New England Patriots this week and go back and forth.
Too.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, the Buccaneers even this week. I mean, this is a game people thought the Giants could have been easy.
I mean,
they did, but
32-18 was not the score of this game. All right, that was the final score, but it was because of a lateral that went to an offensive lineman that bounced into.
Well, you got to remember they had
Trevin Wade.
They still had they still had a 6-point lead, and this team's trying to lateral it from their own 5-yard line. So this game was well in hand.
But that's why I'm saying, this game was really technically a 6-point game.
Really. You're just wondering where those Buccaneer matchups for the Dallas Cowboys are. Well, they're coming. They're coming this week. But we're going to get into these games a little bit. We're going to start with Sunday Night Football. We actually got into it a little bit on our 60-second summary. Eagles went on to defeat the Dallas Cowboys in overtime. Jordan Matthews catching a 30-something yard pass. Getting possession right off the bat.
Defensive breakdown.
Well, it's just listen, it's fatigue. I mean, it's what happens. This is what the Eagles try to do to teams. They try to tire out your defense because the Cowboys' defense has definitely played a lot better than that. But this is an incredible stat, like you've mentioned.
Yeah,
first losing streak in a long time for
This is the first time the Cowboys have lost 6 straight since 1989, Troy Aikman's rookie year when they went 1-15.
That's a long time, man. You're talking over 15, over almost 20 years ago. But we're moving on.
That's more than 20 years ago. That's 26 years ago.
Yeah, almost 30. The Jaguars came into the Meadowlands. This was a closer game than a lot of people expected. Jets obviously struggled mightily, not even on the defensive side. On the offensive side, it shows how healthy is Ryan Fitzpatrick right now. Jets still able to take care of business, though, 28-23. Had 6 sacks on defense, a lot different from when they were in Oakland.
Yeah.
I had a hard time really getting to anybody. The running back, quarterback, the whole nine.
But it was good that, Ryan Fitzpatrick was back in there under center.
Well, he's gonna play this Thursday against Buffalo, and he's gonna go in for surgery the
Friday.
Next morning after.
I heard that.
And we'll see what happens from there.
He said that he didn't have any pain during the game, which was good, and it's also his left hand, so he's not throwing with it, so it's but we'll go into
it's got to be taken care of.
Like we said, Giants Buccaneers. Giants win that game 32-18. We're not going to get into it much because we already talked about it. Browns Bengals Thursday Night Football. Bengals move on to 8-0. 8-0 the Bengals.
Hey man, they're staying
Andy
healthy.
Dalton.
They're staying healthy on the offensive line, defensive line. I've said it. You're going to win games at the trenches in the NFL at this level, the professional level. Basically, Bengals took care of business very easily, dominated both sides of the ball, 31-10.
Bengals became the 33rd team in NFL history and the 22nd team in the Super Bowl era to open 8-0, and that's going to be going for 2 other teams as well.
Panthers get to Rodgers 5 times in this game. Very impressive performance.
Yes.
Panthers defense playing unbelievable right now. Arguably the best team in the NFC right now.
Arguably, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no question about it. They win 37-29. Panthers ran for 130 yards, marking the 19th straight time that 19th straight game that they've gained at least 100 yards on the ground. But first, we'll get into a phone call here. You're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. What's going on? Hello?
Yeah, hello. How you doing? My name is Ted. They call me Ted the Great.
How's it going?
All right.
You got a question for us, bud?
What's going on with the Cowboys, man? They can't win a game.
Tony Romo.
It's just basically Tony Romo, not having Tony Romo.
That's the problem with them right now. They're basically having a hard time. I mean, you've had Matt Castle in the center for any football team right now. I mean, you look
Matt
at the same
Castle,
kind of troubles.
Brandon Weeden. It's just
you look at the same kind of troubles. You know, the Dallas Cowboys obviously having a hard time. You know, basically, you know, when you got Matt Castle in the center, and I don't even know who was the other guy they had on the center
Brandon
before that.
Weeden.
Yeah, Brandon Weeden. I mean, we're talking 2 quarterbacks. I mean, Brandon Weeden had a great O-line, and, you know, the Browns. The fact that these quarterbacks have great offensive lines that they're working with the Dallas Cowboys and they still can't get anything done shows that they're basically finished in the NFL. These little spots, you know, obviously, you know, it's just really struggling right now for the Dallas Cowboys.
Moving on. Thanks for the call. Patriots beat the Redskins 27-10. Patriots are the NFL best 44-10 against the NFC East since 2002. I mean, that's
we're talking about another undefeated team.
Really.
I mean, this is incredible how many undefeated teams this late in the season. It's really impressive. And Patriots, 3rd team to move on.
Washington has not allowed a 300-yard passer this season. Brady missed it by 1 yard. But he did have his 8th straight game with at least 2 touchdown passes.
Crazy.
Saints lose a game to the Titans in overtime, 34-28. Marcus Mariota's 13 touchdowns this season are the most ever by a Titans rookie. Yeah, I mean, he's really stepping up for the Titans in a position that they desperately needed. He's doing a lot better than I thought he was going to do.
The Saints' defense is god-awful.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean,
it is one of the worst, and this is like getting really bad. I think this is something where Rob Ryan needs to go. I think, you know, obviously they've had their troubles, the Saints. Drew Brees being hurt for a little while and coming back from the injury, and on offense a little struggle, but their defense is just god-awful. They're giving up everything.
Yeah, Dolphins, Bills. Bills win this game 33-17. Watkins, Sammy Watkins, 168 yards, were the most by a Bills player since Terrell Owens had 197 in on November 22nd, 2009.
I forgot they had him. That's funny.
I know. Carlos Williams, who returned after 3 games with a concussion, became just the NFL's 7th player to score a touchdown in each of his first 5 games. The record is held by New England's Robert Edwards, who scored in his first 6 games in 1998.
Vikings go on to beat the Rams at home 21-18. Vikings defense clearly being the you know, unbelievable. Again, not giving up 21 points or more in any games this season except for one. Arguably the biggest surprise in football right now. Absolutely. The Minnesota Vikings giving Green Bay a run for their money.
Absolutely. Steelers, Raiders. Steelers pull this one out with a late field
This was
goal.
A wild game, back and forth. Obviously, really Raiders, after Steelers losing Ben Roethlisberger again 1 to 2 weeks with a strained foot. Raiders came back strong in the 4th quarter but fell short. And after another long catch by Antonio Brown, he had 4 separate 40-plus yard catches in that game. Incredible performance from Antonio Brown.
284 yards.
It was incredible. He had so many yards.
This was the craziest game, I guess.
Biggest upset.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Blaine Gabbert led 49ers go on and defeat the Falcons 17-16. Colts finish off the Broncos 27-24, and the Bears on Monday Night Football. We already talked about a game-winning touchdown, 22-19 Bears.
Picks and predictions, locks and upsets, and man, we got some good games coming up this week. We'll let you know what you need to know on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show next. Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Tuesday on Zeno Radio and re-airs Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Follow the NFL this season on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. Do you have sports opinions? Or do you want to start your own sports debate? Then Overtime is right for you. Overtime is an app for sports lovers made by sports lovers. This is the best place to talk about sports. Overtime is available at the iTunes App Store. Be a part of something big and help us take the game to OT. Overtime, the game never ends.
Until the end of days, they'll remember our names. Face yourself, it all goes down tonight. Time will tell who's here for the heart.
The Tom and Jerry Sports Show picks and predictions for Week 10. We're going to get into our picks and predictions, but first we're going to take another phone call. You're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Tom from Valley Stream, big fan.
Thanks, bud.
2 points about the Raiders.
Yeah, what's up?
One is, I think we have no problem passing on the Vikings at home, just like we did against the Jets. I think we're going to control
And
that
the
game.
Steelers, too.
And I also think that game against the Steelers was really exciting. It showed that we're pretty for real this year, and we're not just a joke anymore. So I'm not really pretty happy with Derek Carr and the team. Our defense was horrible, but we'll be all right.
Derek Carr's been playing good all year, really. I mean,
Derek Carr's been arguably he's a top 5 fantasy quarterback right now in the rankings, which is crazy. I mean, you look at the top 5 quarterbacks in general with Andy Dalton and Derek Carr being in there. It's Derek Carr having obviously probably the biggest comeback player of the NFL this season. He's taken the biggest step I've seen of any quarterback at all this entire season. So arguably the Oakland Raiders are playing very good football right now. Obviously taking on the Minnesota Vikings, and like we just talked about, Minnesota not giving up more than 21 points or more in a game in a very long time. Raiders coming off a couple of 30-point efforts. So this is going to be an exciting one. Hopefully, you're going to have no Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think it is, in the concussion protocol, obviously, right now. But Sean Hill will be at the helm, most likely for them. Great chance for Oakland to pick up a big win on the road.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot, man.
No
you
problem.
guys soon, all right?
Thanks for calling.
There's good points for the Oakland Raiders. We'll get into that game first. Raiders at the Minnesota Vikings. Who's your pick?
Raiders at the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going with the Vikings. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to come back. They're saying he's feeling good.
Well, if Bridgewater comes back, this is a good game. Obviously, like I talked about, the Vikings defense has been unbelievable. Again, I'm probably going to go Vikings here only because they really are just the biggest surprise in the NFL this season. But this is going to be a very good game. And it's going to show. This will actually be the biggest test for the Raiders all year. I mean, the Jets defense was playing stout defense up until they played the Raiders, and the Raiders came in and basically whooped them. So, when it comes down to it, it's a great performance from it's going to take a great performance from Derek Carr to go out there and get the win.
Yeah, speaking with Jerry and Kevin, we are taking call 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live. Remember to join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports or at our website, tnjsports.weebly.com. Be sure to download the new sports app, Overtime, at the iTunes App Store. We're going to take another phone call. You're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. What's going on? Hello.
Hello.
How you doing? You're live. How are you?
Hi, this is Larry from Staten Island.
How you doing, Larry?
I would love to know what you guys think about the LA Sparks this year.
Oh my God, the LA! I'll tell you right now, the LA Sparks. When it comes down, all right. Next phone call.
Yeah.
How you doing? You're on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
What's going on, guys? Wally from Wine Dance.
Wine Dance. Wow, very, very distant. How are you, Wally?
Doing well. Been listening to you for the past couple of weeks, and I had a quick question because I'm getting like the laughing stock of the day in my fantasy football league. This trickster in my league, he was making fun of me because I offered somebody Joe Flacco. Kevin, I just wanted your take on Joe Flacco. What do you think about him?
Joe Flacco, honestly, probably
terrible.
I'll be on a top 5 worst quarterbacks that own in fantasy football this season. Obviously the loss of Steve Smith should do nothing but bring his value up. I'm kidding, obviously. Joe Flacco could arguably, if I had Joe Flacco on a fantasy football team, I'd probably just shut down my computer and probably not turn it back on until the end of the football season. Obviously, this is a terrible player to have in fantasy. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there. I think I would rather put Teddy Bridgewater in hurt.
Yeah.
And even if he didn't play, he'll probably get more points than Joe Flacco this week.
He's got nobody to throw to.
Yeah, it's just a really bad situation.
Run game.
Baltimore's one of the worst teams in the NFL right now.
It's just it's a bad situation for Joe Flacco and you for having Joe Flacco. So
I appreciate you calling, Wally. Thank you.
Thanks for taking my call, guys. I'm going to go shut my computer.
Thanks for calling. We're going to get back into the games here. Bills-Jets, Thursday Night Football. The Color Rush jerseys come out for the first time this week.
I'll make sure to wear my sunglasses when I watch this game on Thursday
night. Bright jerseys.
I'm going to go with the Jets, though. Be biased, of course. Jets, a very big game. Every game from here on out is big, and I think Rex Ryan's doing none but fueling the fire, and I think the Jets are really going to put that fire out.
As a Jets fan, what do you think about Rex Ryan making IK Mbali, whatever his name is, as the captain?
I think it's irrelevant.
It really is. I think people are making it
Geno
more.
Smith's not even the starting quarterback. I mean, you're basically getting shown up right now, Rex, because your starting quarterback that you've had for the past 2 years that you believed in, that you drafted, is gone out, and he's not even the starter right now.
Yeah.
And will he even play again for the New York Jets? That's still a question that's very, very unsure of right now. He obviously looked terrible against the Oakland Raiders, and the Jets lost a very disappointing game there.
I'm picking the Jets. Next game, Cowboys-Buccaneers. Cowboys lost 6 straight here.
I'm thinking they end the streak right now. I'm going Cowboys. I don't know why. I don't know how, but they're going to end the streak.
This is the last week without Romo.
There we go. Every Cowboy fan's probably jumping for joy.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going Cowboys. Giants, Patriots. Not even going to be close. Patriots.
Yeah, this is actually really tough though. If you really think Patriots.
No.
I mean, this is it's not even anything against the Giants. It's just their defense is getting no pressure on anybody all year. And I mean, I'll be honest. If Tennessee can get a little bit of pressure on Drew Brees and can win a game over the Saints, the Giants going to get any pressure on Drew Brees, which is arguably one of the worst offensive lines. Tom Brady looks like he's been comfortable all year long. I mean, this is going to be a very, very brutal game for the
Lions, Packers.
Okay, Packers. This is almost just of a joke as the Patriots over the Giants. Packers, without a doubt. Detroit looking god-awful. This is looking like another top 5 pick for the Detroit Lions. Hopefully they finally go defense this time and someone that doesn't, step on other people's hands and stuff.
I'm going Packers. Panthers, Titans. Panthers looking to go 9-0.
I think the perfect season continues. This isn't New Orleans, Mariota. I think Mariota's going to have a hard time against this Panther D. I think Panthers roll.
I think another team stays undefeated here with the Panthers and the Patriots. I'm picking Panthers. Bears, Rams. This is going to be a good game.
I think the Bears come out and get the upset of the week.
You know what? I'm going the same. Bears. Saints, Redskins. Saints.
Yeah, I like the Saints to start off, but I'm going to go Redskins. I think the Redskins can go out there and win this game. They're at home, obviously.
So you just made that pick right here, right now, because when we were looking over this, you picked the Saints.
Yeah, I did like the Saints at first. I liked the shootout, but I think you made a great point. You said this probably won't be a shootout, and like you said. And I actually, you know what really changed my mind? The stat that you told me. Washington obviously not giving up a 300-yard passer all season long. That's alarming because that's the only thing the Saints got going for them is a 300-yard passer in Drew Brees right now. So I think the Redskins somehow pull out a win. They're going to have no problem getting the ball down the field against the Saints defense because everyone has had no problem. And obviously the return of Deshaun Jackson, big plays. Redskins come out at home, win this game.
So you changed it up on me.
I had to change it up late. I'm sorry. I will cross it out now even.
Dolphins, Eagles.
The Dolphins, I'm going to go Eagles. Make a case for the NFC East. I think they're going to make a real good push, and the Eagles might be your division winner, believe it or not.
Oh, let's easy up on that. I'm picking the Eagles, though, as well. Dolphins, just, I don't know what team you're going to get next week.
Dolphins got no momentum right now.
It's Browns, Steelers. This is going to be a good game. I think this is going to be better than everybody thought because they might not have Ben Roethlisberger again.
And no Le'Veon Bell. I say the Browns go out there and get the win on the road. Pittsburgh is a very good team at home, though. Tomlin's got a great record at home, so there's not going to be easy about it. There's going to be nothing easy about the Browns right now, but the Browns I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I'm going with the Browns as well. No, I'm actually going with the Steelers.
I don't blame you. Steelers' record at home is unbelievable.
Yeah. Jaguars, Ravens.
Both these teams are god-awful, so this is tough just because they're both terrible. But I'm going to go with the Jaguars. I think Blake Bortles, who's also, I thought we talked about Derek Carr making a big step. I think Blake Bortles has made equally as big of a step as he did. I go with Blake Bortles. Go on.
I'm going with you on that. Jaguars, I think, the way that the Jaguars played the Jets, I think, they're just going to blow out the Ravens, really. I think this is going to be a blowout by the Jaguars.
Be surprising, yeah.
Chiefs, Broncos.
I'm going to go with the Broncos. Chiefs offense is... I honestly don't see the Chiefs offense getting anything over and done with today.
The Chiefs usually come out and surprise you. And,
well, it's a division game. It's going to be a tough game.
35 points on the board, but I'm going Broncos. I think after their first loss, I think they come back to life here and go back 100%. on the win column.
This is a tough game, Sunday Night Football.
This is a tough game.
Cardinals playing in Seattle with the 12th man.
I am going with the Cardinals.
I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I mean, I just think the Seahawks at home are just a very good team.
They are.
The Cardinals are no joke. This isn't going to be an easy win at all for the Seahawks, but the Seahawks really need this win right now, sitting at 4-4. It's just too much of an important game for the Seahawks. I think Russell Wilson, despite the fact of going on vacation this week during his bye. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, I think Seahawks come back, win this game.
Yeah. Monday Night Football.
Oh, this is an exciting one, folks. We got the Texans and the Bengals. If you thought 31-10 over the Browns was an exciting one for the Bengals, this might get really ugly, folks. I think the Texans blow out. I'm just kidding. I think the Bengals with ease win this game all day long, go to 9-0, and I potentially think we see 3 9-0 teams for the first time ever in the NFL.
I am going with you on that. 9-0 Bengals, 9-0 Panthers, 9-0 Patriots after Week 10.
The Tom and Jerry Sports Show presents the Lock of the Week for Week 10.
My Lock of the Week, I'm going with the Bengals, going 9-0 against the Texans.
I'm going with another 9-0 team. I'm going to go with the Patriots. I think the Giants got no shot to get any pressure on Tom Brady. I think it's going to be a tough game for the New York Giants.
Absolutely.
It's time for Jerry and Kevin's Upset of the Week for Week 10.
Upset of the Week. We picked the same upset.
Well, I did say the Bears is my upset of the week, but I mean, I had one more other upset that I had liked that I can go with my upset of the week. But you know what? I
go with the Bears. We're going. We're both going Bears.
Browns is what I was going to say, but yeah,
we're going both Bears
go
on
with
this.
The Bears on this.
Without a doubt, everyone's favorite Fantasy 14. What you need to know when trying to set up your starting lineups, or even daily fantasy lineups as well. Coming up next on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Do you have sports opinions? Or do you want to start your own sports debate? Then Overtime is right for you. Overtime is an app for sports lovers made by sports lovers. This is the best place to talk about sports. Overtime is available at the iTunes App Store. Be a part of something big and help us take the game to OT. Overtime. The game never ends. Follow the NFL this season on the Tom and Jerry Sports Show.
Tom and Jerry Sports Show featuring Kevin Donlin live every Tuesday on Zeno Radio and re-airs Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern on All Noise Radio and the Live 365 app.
Follow us on Instagram at Tom and Jerry Sports Show and join the conversation on Twitter at TNJ Sports, or visit our website at tnjsports.weebly.com or call in to 605-562-7085. Press 5 to be heard live.
I will fight till I take my last breath. I got the heart of a warrior, the heart of a warrior. I've been down, I've been out, and I've been. Yeah. I got the heart of a warrior.
The Tom and Jerry Sports Show Fantasy 14.
Fantasy 14, everybody's favorite. We're going to go to the daily fantasy lineups that we put up Kevin had to walk out real quick, so I'm going to give you mine. I'm going with the quarterback. I'm going Aaron Rodgers, 7,500 on DraftKings. He's going up against the 29th ranked defense against the pass with the Detroit Lions here. So I'm going Aaron Rodgers. I think after his 2 losses in a row that's never happened before, I think he's going to be pissed off. I think he comes out with a big win for the Packers and could possibly give you a big win on DraftKings or FanDuel. Definitely go check him out. My running backs. Going with D'Angelo Williams. D'Angelo Williams had a big week last week, especially in DraftKings. 41 points he put up. Definitely a guy to look at. 6,500 on DraftKings. He's going up against the 30th ranked rushing defense against Cleveland Browns. So it's definitely a good look for Week 10. D'Angelo Williams, Pittsburgh Steelers, especially with, obviously being the starter now with Le'Veon Bell, on IR for the rest of the season. Also, I'm a Cowboys fan, and it hurts me to even put this guy in. DeMarco Murray, 6,200, put up some points against the Cowboys. He's going up against the 29th ranked rushing defense in Miami. I think they've been running the ball a lot better since the beginning of the season. 6,200 on DraftKings. I think it's a good play. DeMarco Murray, Philadelphia Eagles against Miami Dolphins. Also, my wide receivers now. Julian Edelman. I'm going 8,200 on DraftKings. It's definitely high. One of the highest wide receivers on DraftKings, and obviously FanDuel as well. FanDuel and DraftKings, if you don't know the difference, FanDuel has a salary cap of $60,000. DraftKings has a salary cap of $50,000, and their prices for each player are different. And the other difference is FanDuel has a kicker. You got to pick a kicker. And DraftKings has a flex instead of the kicker. Kicker kind of kills you some weeks. So I moved over to DraftKings. So I do this lineup on DraftKings. James Jones is my other wide receiver, 5,300. As I said, I think Aaron Rodgers has a big day, and I think one of the guys that he's throwing to in the end zone is James Jones. You haven't heard Randall Cobb at all this year. He's been nowhere to be found. 5,300 on DraftKings for James Jones, going up against a 25th ranked passing defense, against a wide receiver at least. Detroit Lions. Stephon Diggs is my third, 5,100. He's been solid play the last 3 or 4 weeks for Minnesota. Depending on if Teddy Bridgewater plays this game, then you play Stephon Diggs. If he's not, then you might want to maybe stay away from Stephon Diggs, but who knows? We won't find out. Teddy Bridgewater will probably be a game-time decision. But Stephon Diggs, if Teddy Bridgewater is in, I definitely look at him. 27th ranked defense against the wide receiver for Oakland. And Stephon Diggs, 5,100. I think it's cheap for a wide receiver, especially if you want to go cheap. Because I went a little high on one of them, and I also went high on a wide receiver, on a quarterback as well. So, But I definitely went very low on tight end because I didn't really have that much in the cap. Richard Rodgers, tight end for the Packers. No one's really going to pick this guy. Had 2 touchdowns last week. No one's going to pick this guy. 3,000 on DraftKings. 22nd ranked against the tight end for Detroit Lions. As we've been saying, Detroit's very bad. 1-7. Then my flex, I went with Willie Snead, 4,900, 21st ranked against the pass, against a wide receiver really for Washington. So it's definitely a good play. And then my defense, Carolina, 3,300. 32nd ranked offense for Tennessee, and my co-host Kevin Donlin is back.
I am back.
Without
a mic.
Without a mic.
I am back and better than ever.
Give your daily fantasy.
Not a bad lineup. I just heard it towards the back end. Very nice. Good pick with the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to go with my quarterback, and this is a prize. You just talked about how much you didn't like him. Kirk Cousins. Going up against New Orleans. I think New Orleans, again, their defense is just god-awful. They're getting no pressure on anybody. I mean, listen, this is a 5,200 player. This is someone that's going to be one of your cheaper options at the quarterback position. Try to beast up on certain other positions. Kirk Cousins, obviously 5,200. I'm going to go with him as my quarterback. Going for my number one running back. He's the most expensive running back there is on the board, Todd Gurley. But this is the Chicago Bear defense that is just god-awful. I mean, they really are one of the worst defenses in football. Todd Gurley, going to have a day, 1 touchdown, maybe even 2. My second running back, number 2, I'm going to go D'Angelo Williams, and why not, right? I mean, I don't know if you took D'Angelo Williams last week, but if you did, you most likely won money.
I took him again.
On DraftKings or FanDuel. Going as my wide receiver number 1, I moved to Alshon Jeffrey. He'll be taking on the St. Louis Rams, which is not the easiest matchup in the world, but Alshon Jeffrey, for the price that he's at right now, he's cheaper than a lot of these better options right now, and he's an incredible player. He's a great target for Jay Cutler. He is basically his only target. I mean, you got Martellus Bennett, who's getting a couple of goal line looks. The deep passes are going to Alshon Jeffrey. This is PPR. We're looking for 10 catches if we're going to get some serious points. And Alshon Jeffrey, he's been getting almost an average of 15 looks a week. So, I mean, you got to go with this guy, especially the price he's at. Eventually, he's going to be at the same price as Julio Jones. Number 2 wide receiver I went with was Randall Cobb. Green Bay taking on the Detroit Lions. I heard Jerry before talk about the Detroit Lions being an awful team, and I agree 100%. The Detroit Lions, a terrible defense. Randall Cobb, coming off a decent week last week after a couple of disappointing weeks back to back. Green Bay is going to be looking for fire, especially after back-to-back losses. I think they come out strong. Randall Cobb, 2 touchdowns minimum. My weakest pick of the week, and this is my number 3 wide receiver. This is where I went really cheap as well to get this lineup actually in because it looked so good to be true, is Brandon LaFell. This is a cheaper option in a New England team that is going out there for blood on every team in the NFL right now. They're going out and they're trying to throw the ball left and right. The New York Giants, obviously, they're going to have their number 1 corner going up against Julian Edelman all day. Gronkowski will be a big threat in the passing game as well. Definitely a good pick. Obviously, I couldn't afford him. I did not go with him in this lineup, but he is definitely a good play. If you want to get some points this week, I think Rob Gronkowski could be a very good play. Probably one of the best plays all week long is Rob Gronkowski, tight end. Obviously, his price shows it. Brandon LaFell, though, I see myself getting at least 5 catches for 70 yards. Got to hope for that touchdown. He's got a couple of looks at touchdown routes. Tom Brady definitely looking at him with fade routes, especially in the last couple of weeks. He hasn't been able to connect on one of them yet, but only time will tell. I think eventually Brandon LaFell comes down with 1. I think he comes down with 1 this week, and particularly maybe even 2. Gary Barnidge as my tight end. This is a very cheaper option in the tight end position going up against a Pittsburgh defense that has been god-awful. They're giving up points to everybody. I think Barnidge has been a big threat with the Cleveland offense. If the Cleveland moves the ball, it's because of Gary Barnidge. If they even get a touchdown, it's usually Gary Barnidge. So they really look to him a lot, especially come red zone. My flex, I go 4,900. I mean, I'm sorry. You keep putting Darren McFadden with that offensive line. I don't care who he plays. You can put him against. I put him up against the Eagles last week in my fantasy lineup. I mean, this is the best offensive line in football, folks. Okay, the best offensive line, and he's going for 4,900.
Yeah,
4,900. I'll take that for 4,900 all day. Even if you wanted to swap out maybe Gurley and put in Darren McFadden in this lineup, try to add, Rob Gronkowski to this kind of a lineup, I would not disagree with you at all. That is a great mindset and a great way to go. And my defense this week will be the Denver Broncos. Like I said, I don't think Kansas City's offense is going to have any chance in this game, especially with no Jamal Charles. That's like basically their only threat. Kelsey, obviously, Mackling being out there. These guys are both bothered by injuries right now. I think the Broncos, their defense comes out strong, especially at home.
Yeah, we got about 4 minutes left. We're gonna quick.
Well, we got a couple of players that we don't really want to. Yeah, we want you to dodge.
Stay away
this week.
from.
Obviously, from the quarterback position, if you were to stay from one player in the quarterback position, who are you going with?
Carson Palmer.
Understandable. Seattle at home, very tough defense to go up against. This is not a matchup that you really find too favorable. And I agree 100%. I'm going to go Drew Brees. Obviously, Drew Brees, a couple of big weeks back-to-back. If you had him about a week or two ago, you probably did very good. He had a 50-point week in DraftKings, an incredible week. It was unbelievable in that game against the New York Giants. Like we talked about with Washington, this team has struggled getting a 300-yard passer against, and I think it continues. I think Washington continues the stellar performance.
Yeah, I was looking at Drew Brees, but also running back, I'm going to stay in this game that I just, called Carson Palmer. I'm going to say I'm either Chris Johnson or Marshawn Lynch. I think you don't start either one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. These are guys that this is going to be a game that's just going to be very, very low scoring. I think it's going to be a huge battle. With my pick, I'm going to go with Doug Martin. I don't understand why Doug Martin is even 5,600. I mean, how is Doug Martin more money than Lamar Miller, Darren McFadden, Jeremy Hill, LeGarrette Blount? Even Langford. I would even put Langford in against the St. Louis Rams instead of this man right now. I think Doug Martin is clear-cut, way too expensive right now. Obviously, Latavius Murray right above him being hurt. Tawan Jones could be a very, very cheap option, a 3,000 player if you want to go with him as a little bit of a sleeper at the running back position. But if there's a wide receiver right now out there that you want to stay away from, who you take? Who are you staying away from?
I'm having trouble with this one. Maybe Jordan Matthews.
I think Julian Edelman. Going to be. Yeah, I understand, but I think Julian Edelman's going to be tough because you're going up against Rogers Cromartie, right? I mean, that's all they got. That's all they got. I mean, there's going to be so many options for Tom Brady in that game.
Defense is so bad, though. I mean, it didn't matter who was guarding who. The Saints put up 52 points against them.
Well, yeah, Mike Evans had a very decent day too. DeAndre Hopkins is probably my number one stay away from.
And by the way, Mike Evans would have had a hell of a lot better game if he didn't drop 6 of them. So
yeah, that's on record for the most drops in a very long time. Very incredible.
Definitely. Tight end.
Tight end, I got to go Gronkowski. I mean, this is an automatic. Don't play him. I'm just kidding. Okay, Gronkowski, an automatic play. When it comes to tight end, to stay away from this week, and we're talking big name running back. I mean, we talked about that same game with Seattle and Arizona. I'll be honest. Do not put anybody in Seattle or Arizona, and then it goes Jimmy Graham.
I went with Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I understand. I agree with you 100%.
And then I guess defense, really.
Yeah, defense to stay away from. Probably even.
Either I would probably say, it's tough.
The defense to stay away from. I mean, for being so expensive, maybe the Patriots or the Packers, stay away from those. I know Detroit's not too good, but they'll find ways to put points on the board, especially when they're going to be throwing all game. The Giants the same exact way, and it seems like the only thing the Giants know how to do is throw the football, and even Detroit. And Detroit doesn't do it well, but it's the only thing they could do is throw the football. Stay away from those two defenses.
Yeah. Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary. Monday Night Football. Last night, Bears at the Chargers. Bears pull out the victory after Jay Cutler and Zach Miller connect for an amazing touchdown of 25 yards and a 22-19 win after a successful 2-point conversion. Sunday Night Football, Eagles flew to Dallas to face a division rival. Cowboys headed into this game with the 6th straight game without Tony Romo and 5 straight losses. Eagles pull it out after winning the coin toss in overtime and never giving the Cowboys a chance, as Bradford hits Matthews for the touchdown and 33-27 victory. Wes Welker is signed with the Rams. Aqib Talib was suspended for a game after poking the eyes of Dwayne Allen. Sad news, former Braves and Angels pitcher Tommy Hanson passes away at the age of 29 last night, after catastrophic organ failure. And I'm Jerry Napoleonello with your Tom and Jerry Sports Show 60-second summary, brought to you by Overtime. The game never ends. And that will do it for the Tom and Jerry Sports Show. I am Jerry.
I'm Kevin.
Be breezy. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Tom and Jerry Show.